Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. It's a day of doubles as Hearts sign Aaron Hughes and Leonard Sowa. Rangers close in on double loan signings, and it's a double at Celtic as well, as Brendan Rodgers naps the old Manager of the Month award and Stuart Armstrong has the Player of the Month award. That's just a few of the talking points in the company of Gordon Smith, and our Bootroom guest on a Monday is Mark Guidi. No Ruffy at the moment. Weather too cold. Barbados far hotter than we can offer. And of course, he doesn't like to work too early in the year. It tires him out. It's a long season. Oh, listen, you couldn't make it up. Yes, you could. Let's crack on with the main news. Hearts. Ian Cathro has made his first couple of signings. Gordon, Leonard Sowa, certainly a surprise. Aaron Hughes, you can understand he wants a wee bit of experience in there.
Yes, I mean, Soha was obviously playing at Hamilton as well, but he's had a decent career up till then. Plays either centre-half or sort of left-back. That's his main positions. Bit of a surprise, really. You know, wasn't somebody you thought Hearts would be interested in. But Aaron Hughes has had a top-class career, international player, but he's also... obviously in the autumn, if not even the winter of his career, being 37 years of age. Great that he's still doing it. He's coming back from India to play as well. He's been out in India playing football, but he's also played at the highest level in the English league for quite some time. So all his career really has been in the UK.
Yeah, and after all the chat about Ian Cathro, I think this window and the summer window is when he'll start to formulate his own side. I think the Hearts fans are more than willing to give him time to just transform the team, Mark.
Yeah, and rightly so. You know, every manager, Peter, deserves at least 2 transfer windows to try and put in place what he wants to do. So Ian Cathro's now starting that process. Aaron Hughes will be a good signing. He's well known to the Hearts assistant manager, Austin McPhee, who's worked with him for 3 years at international levels, Mike O'Neill's assistant. So Aaron Hughes will be solid, reliable. As Gordon says, you know, he's not in the early stage of his career. He's coming towards the end, but upstairs, you know, he'll be able to read the game. And some of the younger players that Hearts have got, he'll talk them through it. So it's good that he's been given that chance to go and bring in a few. Ostuk will be leaving. There'll be 2 or 3 more out the door. So you'll probably see 5 or 6 in, 5 or 6 out.
Yeah, okay. From Hearts, let's switch our attentions to Rangers. Couple of loan signings, Gordon, we expect all done and dusted by tomorrow at the earliest. One of them is Emerson Hyndman, the other one Jan Terral. Hyndman caught coming into Glasgow Airport. And, you know, quite a few people have been speaking highly of him. Mark Warburton, again, has to look to loan signings to try and bolster that midfield.
Yeah, I mean, it's young players. It's certainly in Hyndman's case where not a lot of great experience, but as you say, people have been speaking very highly of him. I've never seen him playing, but, you know, he's held in such high regard by the people in the States who have seen him play and all that sort of thing. He's got a Portuguese passport as well, so there's no problem about him coming over here and getting a work permit and all that sort of thing. So if he does perform well, you know, Rangers are looking to bolster, I think, the midfield. There's no doubt about it. But the one aspect that makes it difficult is the fact that if you get an inexperienced player, then and you're relying on him, sometimes you're better with a young player like that playing alongside other experienced players. Then you get the best out of him. But it'll be interesting to see. It could be turning out to be a great signing.
Yeah, Mark Warburton had mentioned, Mark, that he didn't want to make too many signings in the January transfer window, but I don't think he can afford too many sitting on the bench. I think some of these loan signings, I presume he would like them to go straight in and make an impact in the team, because some of the players that he has signed, you know, there's already suggestions that even Michael O'Halloran could be looking to offload him. Yeah,
well, you know, certainly Rangers haven't been playing well enough where you can afford to bed people in. If you're only going to have them for 5 or 6 months, and then you might have them for longer, but initially, for even 4 months it is now that you've got them to the end of the season, you want them to come in and ready to make an impact. And if you look at some of the key positions in the Rangers team, if you want to compare them with Celtic, which might not be fair, but that's the barometer, then they're way off it. They need better quality in the engine room of the team, the centre of midfield. They need better quality in the centre of defence. They need better quality in the right back area. They need an out-and-out striker, a real sniffer, a number 9 So there's a lot of work to be done at Rangers, and if getting the two boys in and loans a starting point, then let's hope it works for them.
Yeah, we haven't been on in the live show since the Old Firm game, Gordon. And again, it may be an unfair bit of pressure on them, but that's the nature of Glasgow. This window could be huge based on the fact that they've lost the Old Firm game at Ibrox. This window is crucial to them to try and make sure that they can keep that push going for second place.
Definitely. I mean, that's what Rangers are playing for now, and the fans more or less will be demanding second place, but I think so will the board. I mean, the directors themselves will be saying this is where we got to finish, and Rangers were looking quite comfortable there, but all of a sudden again now, because of the Old Firm defeat, then you've got Aberdeen, I think, can win their game in hand and go above them, and Aberdeen getting a bit back to form again, sort of thing. So it's going to be a tough little period coming up for Rangers, and they've got to get the right ones. I still think their problem is up front. Because, you know, although they have Kenny Miller, who's having a great season in terms of how he's playing for his age, you know, you've got Garner, who is quite popular Rangers fans, but he's not been scoring enough goals. You've got Dodo, who's just come in there, a young player. But I thought maybe, and it still might happen, we're only just starting January, I still think they were looking for an experienced striker, a top-class striker.
Yeah, Mark, it's a strange situation, and no harm to the boy. He just hasn't been able to score the goals. You know, they can make up all the songs and try and get him to the Christmas number one all you like, but Joe Garner, if he doesn't score goals, Rangers fans won't buy into him long term. No,
and you know, one of the things, a little bit of sympathy for him personally, is because Rangers haven't spent a lot of money in recent years. He comes in at 1.5, 1.7, 1.8 million, so all of a sudden there's a great level of expectation on his shoulders, which might be a wee bit unfair on him. However, I believe that if you're coming to play for Rangers, you cost that money, that you should be able to go and score goals. You should be able to be a match winner for Rangers against some of the calibre of opposition that Rangers are up against. He's not managed to do it. Shoulder injury might keep him out for a while, Peter, but with money being so tight at Rangers, the £1.5 million has not been well spent so far.
Yeah, OK. From Rangers, let's switch across the city. Gordon, it's a double for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers, Manager of the Month, and Stuart Armstrong, Player of the Month.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's quite good in the respect that they have to spread the Manager of the Month about, because in reality, you would think that Brendan Rodgers should have had it every month so far. Yeah. Because Celtic have lost, 2 points in the league so far. But Stuart Armstrong is a very good choice. I think that everyone is recognising the change around, and Brendan Rodgers must be responsible for that, because under the previous regime, Dyler, everybody was saying that Stuart Armstrong's been a bad signing. He's not got the quality to play at Celtic. They always think it is tougher for players to make that big step up to play for the Old Firm, but he is now coming through, and everyone's recognising it. And he'll be in the Scotland team coming up as well, and it's definitely in the squad and probably the starting lineup as well. He's had a tremendous month. Yeah,
great credit to Brendan Rodgers for that. Of course, Celtic have been busy themselves. They're hoping that I think Kouassi Eboué will get the work permit. That should be done and dusted on appeal, and he'll come in and bolster that squad as well. Do you think he needs to add any more, Mark?
I think he would still like to add more. Possibly a right back, possibly a central defender, possibly still a number 10. If he can find somebody dynamic for that kind of role. So they're always looking. And the thing for Celtic, the great thing for Brendan Rodgers, and this is without even cashing in Dembele, which I don't think they'll do in January. I think it would send out the wrong message to do it now, and I don't think the player wants to go at this stage. But if Celtic want to go and spend money, Peter, the money's there to go and do it, to really take themselves, even extend the gap even more.
Yeah, and just on that point, they're talking West Ham. There was reported interest at around 20 million, and Chris Davis, the Celtic assistant, said, I think you're undervaluing him.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. If you're getting a bid of 20 million, then you more or less, if that is the case, that bid has come in, clubs will always start at a lower price than what they're willing to pay. Yeah. So you turn down the first bid, and everybody knows you always do that, because nobody ever goes with what they're willing to offer. So that's if he had a 20 million bid, it's an indication that he's valued at higher than that, which is fantastic bit of business when you think they paid 500,000 from him, and he's been outstanding, and as I say, he's still a young player as well. So you're getting good value in that, in terms of saying, well, you buy a young player at that kind of money at that age, then you know that he's going to become something later on.
Yeah, just briefly, you guys, before we hit the break, Scott Brown, he's got a big decision, he says, to make, whether he continues with Scotland. Do you think he should?
For him personally, yes, he should give it up. But for the good of the nation, I hope he stays on.
I think he'll continue one game at a time until our campaign's over.
Yep, okay. Interesting take on that. We are going to switch our attention after the break with Mark and Gordon to the Championship because that's still ongoing as we speak, and we'll turn our attention to Easter Road and Hibernian. Are the players going to stay? Are the players going to be heading out the door? We'll talk about Hibs and much more coming up. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV. Alan on a little break at the moment, and an able deputy, more than able deputy, just in case you thought Alan had been on a real keep fit campaign. Gordon Smith is here with us. And of course, some people saying, why Ruffy's lost his mullet? But no, Gordon's here with us. And a man who wishes he had a mullet, Mark Guidi, is here in the studio with us as our Monday night Bootroom guest. Okay, we've been talking about potential ins and outs in the Premiership. The Championship over the course of the last week certainly was interesting viewing. Hibernian, it was a real big top of the table clash against Dundee United. I certainly didn't see 3-0 in it, Gordon.
No, I wouldn't have thought so either. I watched the game and it was deserved, though. Hibs were the better team, there's no doubt about it. And I think that was a significant game because Dundee United had beaten them the last time they played, and it was just as well, because if it had gone the other way then, it would be now a 10-point gap in the league, and you think more or less Hibs uncatchable, because Hibs are strengthening. There's no doubt getting in Chris Commons has been a big factor, and I think that they'll also be looking at very closely in this winter break in the transfer window to maybe just strengthen another couple of positions and really take the league on and go for, rather than having the competition there. They want to be comfortable come March, April. Well,
and fair play to the manager, Neil Lennon. He just decided to throw in Chris Humphrey, and he had an immediate impact.
Yeah, I remember Chris Humphrey with Motherwell, Peter, and they always caught the eye. I thought it was great. He was explosive down the wings. He could chip in with a goal. So it's a really good signing for Hibs, and I think it has been the case since Hibs were relegated. I think you really got to give credit to Leanne Dempster and the board there, because they've certainly backed their managers from Alan Stubbs all the way through, and hopefully for them it will pay off and they'll get back into the league in the summer in the top flight.
Yeah, absolutely. We need Hibs back in the top flight. Commons, is he likely to stay on longer in your mind?
If Hibs win promotion, I think he'll be very tempted, yes. However, if you get one or two offers to look at from America or elsewhere, then he'll certainly consider it. But if Hibs are promoted, then it gives them an excellent chance of keeping them. Yeah, can you see him stay in this loan period? Or I don't see any point, Gordon, in him going back to Celtic if he's kicking a ball with Hibs.
Absolutely not. No, there's no chance of him getting a game at Celtic. So I think that he'll stay at Hibs right through the whole. I think he'll stay till the end of the season.
Yeah, and of course, one great bit of news for the High Bees fans was the side of John McGinn not only coming back but scoring a goal.
Yeah, terrific. Cheeky wee nutmeg on the goalkeeper, on Cammy Bell. But John McGinn is a quality player, and there's certainly been interest in him. The interest, could come again before the end of the window. It'll be interesting to see, but he's a top draw player.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you see the Championship table, it's good viewing for Hibs fans with that cushion over Dundee United now. But the next team I'm going to talk about, Morton in third position. Jim Duffy has just worked wonders. It's the type of team, having watched them on more than a few occasions this season, they're the type of team, Mark, that I don't think too many people would like to play in the playoffs.
No, I've watched Morton a couple of times, and they're still doing it without Katongo, young Jai Katongo's injured at the moment, but he just keeps producing players. A great team spirit, organisation, work ethic. You know what you're getting with Jim Duffy, and you look at the state that Morton were in when he took over to where they are now. Tremendous credit to him, and I think they'll be there for the long haul, Peter. I think they will be in the playoffs. Yeah, and in the background as well, Gordon, a good appointment in my mind, Warren Hawke as chief executive.
Yeah, he's a man with a lot of experience in the football world, because he's come through from being a player, through to, he was running the youth system at Morton and doing a good job there as well in terms of developing young players. He's a smart lad, Warren Hawke, and it's a very good appointment because he's got a good football awareness as well. And Morton are a club, as Mark said, that they're desperate to go out there and improve. because they were for a long time as well a top league club. I mean, they've slipped back over the years and we haven't seen them at the highest level for quite some time. But if they were to get in the playoffs this year, when a manager like Jim Duffy, they've always got a chance because he's a very experienced guy.
Yeah, and I know this won't be the switch of attention that too many St Mirren fans will be hoping for, but in contrast, you now have St Mirren, a couple of angry fans, one of them confronted by Jack Ross after the Saints lost to Queen of the South.
Yeah, I was at the stadium on Saturday, Peter, covering the game. St Mirren started really well. We well have been a goal up against Queen of the South, and gradually John Rankin making his debut for Queens. I think St Mirren actually tried to sign John Rankin as well, but he chose Queen of the South. He exerted his influence in the game, and then you've got the clever movement and know-how of Dobie up front, and the two of them linked together, got the goal right on half-time, and St Mirren just couldn't find a way back after that. But I think what concerned Jack Ross was the lack of heart and fight. You know, if you're beaten by a better team, a manager, coach can accept that, supporters can accept that, but I think they thought the application wasn't there, and that's what led to the confrontation with the support at the end. That said, Jack Ross and his assistant James Fowler beside him, he handled it well. He was composed. Speaking, it didn't get heated, and I think all he said was, look, if you want to help us get out of this situation, we need to stick together.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a go at me, then fine. But do it in private. Don't do it the way that you've done it there.
They won't ever do it though, because as a manager you're always going to get it at the time, aren't you? And the players will be as well. You know what football's like. Nobody's going to come see you in private, because if they try to get a private meeting, they might just say no. Yeah. But the biggest element of the defeat was the context of it, because Queen of South were in a terrible run, and that's what was bad. St Mirren seemed as if they turned the corner a little bit when they won a couple of games, remember? Yeah. And I think one of them was at Inderfries as well, wasn't it?
Was, yeah.
They had a 3-2 win there, and they won that, and it looks like they're getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden that gap's widening. Unfortunately for St Mirren, Ayr United have been losing some games of late, and that's the nearest team to them. But the other teams that were close at that time, Dumbarton and Dunfermline, they've moved on a bit, and there's quite a gulf now between St Mirren and these teams, so they really need to get things going. Yeah,
I'm not sure the value of I've got a lot of high regard for Jack. I think given time, he might be able to get that positive impact that he's looking for, but he's had a pop at the players for it.
Look, Peter, I don't have a problem with managers having a go at players. Players are far too well protected, and players don't lose their jobs. We see it now. Managers are lucky if they get 6 months, and what I hope St Mirren don't do, because it's been part of the downfall of the past years, is continually sacking managers. See, if they go down, stick with them. You've appointed them, stick with them.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that one. Just a couple of points before we finish. The FA Cup, I always like to sit down and watch the English FA Cup as well, because when you're growing up as a boy, you always get that sense of excitement, great finals. I mean, one of my favourites, Gordon, didn't involve you, just in case you think I'm about to slaughter you. One of my... I'll
just
get
waiting
to
for the photo to come
No, not exactly. Smith must score. No, I always remember the 1979 FA Cup final, because, Alan Sunderland scoring 3-2. It was a sensational last 5 minutes against Manchester United for Arsenal. Yeah, and there's Ricky Villa in 1981. But I think it's lost its sparkle. I mean, I looked at some of the team selections and the changes, and the money in the Premier League now has totally and utterly changed the attitude of managers.
Definitely, Peter, and the big factor is that when even the time when I played in it, but even years and years ago, one of the few games you ever got to see live on TV was the FA Cup final, and it went all around the world. So it was one of the big world matches. I mean, the World Cup, and then the FA Cup final was probably the second biggest match in the world at that time for years. So that's gone. What you've got now is teams, because of the money aspect of it, and another aspect, as you might both be aware, is a lot of the foreign coaches don't have any time for it as well. And one of the reasons for that is in other countries, the cups are regarded as nothing.
Yeah, but if I can pick up on that point, Eddie Howe doesn't have any excuse on it. He made 11 changes for Bournemouth and they lost to Millwall. I mean, it was, no matter how well he explained himself afterwards, it was just a show of contempt for the tournament.
Well, I think what you've got to do, I read a suggestion from Neil Warnock saying, give the winners a place in the Champions League. I wouldn't go that far, but you look at the Europa League, they had to liven itself up, and the winner of the Europa League now gets into it. What I would do is, the FA and the English Premier League have to get together, and whether it's a playoff against the 6th or 7th team in English EPL to get into the Europa League, to get one of the Europa League places, but they need to liven it up a wee bit.
But I was going to say to you, Mark, how many Champions League places do the English want to try and keep every tournament alive?
But I think they meant take one away from the league place and give it to the cup winner.
What you said is exactly right. Even teams, lower division teams, not even playing their full team, when they could be getting through in the next stage and having a run in the cup, getting the fans excited, and they're not even doing it anymore. The tournament has collapsed, there's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing that was disappointing was to see empty seats, Gordon.
Yeah, many of them. I was at the Brighton game. I was invited down. Brighton were playing MK Dons. 11,000 there, and every week. The previous league game, they'd got 30,000 at their game.
Yeah, absolutely. Sad situation to see there in the FA Cup, but of course, fans' money is tight. That's just about it for Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Apologies that I didn't get in, and Smith must score for Brighton in the FA Cup. I'll get it in another programme, I'm almost certain. Thanks to Gordon Smith, thanks to Mark Guidi. Join us tomorrow on STV once again if you can. Good night.